Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, Homeschooling Through the Chaos. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Michelle and I am a homeschooling mama of 3 with 1 on the way. In today's video, I wanted to do a side-by-side comparison of The Good and the Beautiful's Language Arts Level 6 and Masterbooks Language Arts Level 6. So we are going into our 3rd year of homeschooling. First year, all 3 of my kids did The Good and the Beautiful for all of our subjects. Then last year, we switched my 2 oldest to Masterbooks. And this year, we are switching back to The Good and the Beautiful. So I kind of wanted to give you guys a peek into both of these and kind of show you what I liked and what I didn't like and why we are switching back. So let's go ahead and jump right in. So let's go ahead and start off with Masterbooks Level 6. So my daughter is going into 7th grade this year, and she was working through their Level 6 for the 2023-2024 school year. And as you can see, it's kind of falling apart a little bit here, but that's okay. We're gonna go ahead and just roll with it. So as soon as you open it up, you have your scope and sequence, which goes through what they'll be working on for each lesson. So if we see, it goes all the way up to lesson 36. Now that might seem a little short. However, the way that they break it up is that each lesson has 5 days. So you have day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, and so on. So if you're counting it that way, it actually turns out to be 180 lessons total instead of the 36. So they do have a suggested daily schedule. They recommend that you work through the course 5 days a week, and it should take your kids about 20 to 30 minutes to finish it. However, it took my kids about 10 minutes tops to finish their lessons. Like some of them would take them about 5 minutes. So that's one thing that I wasn't a big fan of, just how quickly and how short the lessons were. So as I said earlier, their lessons are broken up into 5 days. So day 1 is usually a reading comprehension, a picture study, a poem, or a proverb. Days 2 and 3 are normally your grammar and sentence structures. And then day 4, we have reading comprehension again. And day 5 is when you work on your spelling, syllables, and vocabulary. One thing that I will point out about Masterbooks, if you are looking for a secular curriculum, then Masterbooks might not be the way to go, since they do focus heavily on scripture. So for their level 6, the kids are working through the 10-minute Bible journey. So personally, for me, that was actually a positive. I really loved the fact that they incorporate scripture throughout almost every single lesson that they did. So that was one of the things that drew me to Masterbooks. They're also Charlotte Mason based, so you'll notice a lot of oral narration activities for their picture studies, their reading comprehension, and their poetry reading. One thing that I didn't really like about Masterbooks was that I personally just felt that their exercises were really short. So I knew going into this curriculum that they would be shortened. I just wasn't prepared for how short they would be. So each exercise is about 1 or 2 pages. For example, this one for exercise 2, day 17, she had to write 2 sentences about Noah using action verbs and then write another sentence down here. And that was it. So 4 sentences, and then she was done with her language arts. I definitely felt like with her getting ready to go into 7th grade, that she needed more practice with her writing and a little more structure. So I did end up having to supplement with this. So I added in Fix It grammar, and then I also had all 3 of my kids did this actually. I had them add in written narration. So after they did their independent reading, they would have to write a summary about what they read, which doesn't really seem like much, but I definitely felt like just doing this right here really helped them with their writing and their comprehension. Like this alone, I think, was a huge improvement in just the way that we homeschool. So I'm definitely going to be keeping this year too, even with us switching to the Good and the Beautiful. So let's go ahead and take a look at the Good and the Beautiful's level 6 language art. So full disclosure, before we jump in, my kids have not yet started their level 6 language arts. That's what we'll be working on this upcoming school year. So I wanted to show you guys the level 4, which was what they were working on before we made the switch. However, when I was looking for it this morning, I realized that I actually got rid of their workbooks last year when I was cleaning up our homeschooling space. So I don't have the actual workbook anymore, but it's okay for the sake of comparing the two. I thought it would be better to use the level 6 anyways, but I did want to disclose that my thoughts on what we did and didn't like about the Good and the Beautiful will be based off of our experience using their level 4. So once you open up your course book, you have your daily checklist. So every day they have to practice their grammar cards or geography cards, which I still need to cut these up for them. They had to complete 1 lesson from the course book and read their independent reading book. And then on this side, you have your level 6 at a glance, which is kind of like our scope and sequence that we saw with Masterbooks. But the only difference is that it's not showing you by lesson. It's kind of just showing you everything that they will be working on throughout the course. So we have art, geography, grammar, reading, writing, and literature, and major writing projects. They'll also be working through the level 6 reader and the Little Lord book throughout this course. This one came with the course. This one had to be purchased separately. So one of the big differences between the Good and the Beautiful and Masterbooks is the length of daily work and the length of their course. So with the Good and the Beautiful, it's intended to be used 4 days a week as opposed to 5, for a total of 120 lessons. And the time that it takes the kids to complete the lesson can range from 50 minutes all the way up to 80 minutes. So with my kids, it took them, I would say, a little bit over an hour to get through their lesson when we were working on level 4, and I'm expecting it to take them about the same amount of time to get through our lessons with the level 6. And you'll see in a minute when we go through the lessons why it takes them that amount of time. So the first lesson is kind of just an introduction to the course, letting the kids know what they can expect with this course book. And then it has a little art activity that they're going to work on, which is creating their own color chart. Now, this is something that I really love about the Good and the Beautiful, is just how they incorporate art in all of their levels. So we've done level 1, level 2, level 4, and my littlest is going to be doing their level 3 this year. And so far, like, I really enjoy just how they incorporate art throughout the course. So that's one of my favorite part and the kids' favorite part too. So once you get to lesson 2, this is more of what your typical lesson will look like. So one thing that I'm already loving about level 6 compared to level 4 is the fact that everything is included in one course book. So with their level 4, there was 2 separate course books. They had one for reading and then a separate one for their spelling and writing. So this might just be a personal preference, but for my kids, they were pretty intimidated just by the fact that there was 2 separate books. It may also have to do with the fact that it was our first year homeschooling and my kids were definitely not used to the amount of information that's included in the Good and the Beautiful's lessons. So by the time they were done with the first half, which was the reading course book, they would fight me all the way through for us to skip over the second course book. So what we ended up doing was that I would, depending on how long the first half was, we would just split it up and do the next course book the following day. But with this one, I really like that everything is just included in one spot, and I just feel like it flows better that way. So with the level 6, even though a lot of this is meant for the kids to work on independently, the start of every lesson is still done with the parent. So it starts off with spelling and then read to the parent. So with the spelling, this is something that I'm also seeing that I really love about the level 6 compared to their level 4 and with Masterbooks is how they're doing the spelling words. So with level 4 and with Masterbooks, the way they went over spelling was the kids would just write the words over and over again, and then they'd have a spelling test. With this one, what they're having them do is use those spelling words in a sentence. So you're gonna dictate the sentence and they are going to write it out. And I just feel like this is a much better way for them to get that practice rather than just drilling those words. And the second part here is where the kids have to read their vocabulary words and this portion of the story. Well, the way that we used to do it was that I would have my son read a part and then have my daughter read another part, since they're both working on the same level. And then depending on how long the expert was, I would also read a portion of it. So then, like I said, everything is included in one lesson. So they got their grammar portions, we got homophones, spelling rules, abbreviation. Then we have their writing. So this is one thing that I definitely feel was missing with Masterbooks. So the fact that they are actually breaking down how to write an essay, like I love this part. I feel like my kids definitely need that extra practice with this, and they're breaking it up into little chunks. So with this lesson, they're learning about a thesis statement. And then by the end of the course, they should have learned all the components on how to write an essay in the proper way. So this is something that I really love that is included in here, and I don't have to supplement and look for it somewhere else. So I love this. And then they also have their sentence diagramming, which I will admit I had no idea what that was when this was introduced to us when we were doing our level 4. So this is something that not only my kids learned, but I learned right along with them, and we actually love this. So I know it's a love-hate relationship with sentence diagramming, but I actually like it. It's like a little puzzle for us. So this is a yes for us. And they also include a little geography section. So this looks like a lot. Like I said, I do like that it's all included in one spot, but I may still split this up into 2 days depending on how my kids are doing with it. So if they feel like it's a little bit overwhelming, especially with my daughter, my son might be able to do it all, but my daughter might need the break. I might split this up into 2 days, which I'm perfectly fine with that, because it's still in one spot. I don't feel like I have to pull from anywhere else. So I'm perfectly okay with splitting it up into 2 days. Now, with the Good and the Beautiful, I wouldn't necessarily call it a secular curriculum just because they do include God in some of the lessons. So, for example, in this one, they do have a poem called God the Artist. However, it's not so intertwined in the lessons that you couldn't just skip over that part and continue with the rest of the lesson if this is something that you do not want to include. So although it's not necessarily a secular curriculum, I do think that you could still use it and just not do those certain sections. Quick little background on why I made the switch from the Good and the Beautiful over to Masterbooks in the first place. So at the beginning of this homeschooling year, my work schedule had changed drastically, and I knew I wasn't going to be able to be as hands-on with our homeschooling as I would like. So I needed something that my kids could, one, work on independently, and two, that wouldn't take them too long to work on. Because as I said, when we were doing our level 4 of the Good and the Beautiful, I was doing it with them and it took us over an hour to get through a lesson. So I knew that I needed something different for that school year. So that's when I decided to try out Masterbooks, which I knew had shorter lessons and they could work on independently. However, like we just saw, the lessons ended up being a little too short for my liking, and it wasn't as open and go as I was expecting because just the fact that I had to keep looking for things to supplement with. So with that being said, this didn't work out for us, but that doesn't mean it might not be a good fit for you. So always do your research and see what works best for your family and for your kid. This year we are moving back to the Good and the Beautiful. I'm going to be staying home with the kids this year. So that's definitely going to allow me to be able to work with them one-on-one again. And I just really love the layout of the Good and the Beautiful and everything that they include in here. I really do think that the way they break down their materials is really, really good, and just the fact, just how they teach it, like it really is good and beautiful, just like they say. And another thing that I really like about it is that you can get their curriculum for free. So their PDF version is available for free to download. So that's something that I really like too, that if you're not sure if it's going to be a good fit for you, you can go ahead and print out the first few lessons, try it out, and see if it works for your family. I believe Masterbooks also provides a few of their lessons online as a PDF for free too, so you can check them out too and see which one works for you. So I hope that you guys found this video helpful. If you have not done so already, please go ahead and click the subscribe button. It really does help me and my family when you subscribe to the channel. Let me know in the comments if you have used either one of these curriculums before. Which one do you prefer? If you haven't used either one, let me know what you do use, because I'd love to learn from other homeschoolers. All right, thank you so much for watching. Until next time, have a great day, everyone. Bye.